So last night I just sent my latest video to my editor for them to work on, and I felt like this was my best video yet. I felt like I actually finally knew what I was doing when it came to making YouTube video, which made me think about why exactly I didn't feel that way earlier, 3 videos ago. And I realized that the main advice that gets thrown around in a lot of YouTube spheres: do your title and thumbnail first, make sure you have a really good script, make sure you copy other creators but with a solid twist. I knew all of these things, and as an avid YouTube watcher yourself probably, then you probably know all these things, but to really internalize them is another. Those 3 lessons I gave you, I'm actually going to dive deep right now into how I actually finally internalized them and how I made the most recent video I'm working on the best one I feel like I've made this far. The first lesson I learned was that the idea has to come first, not the feeling. So the first advice you hear is the title and the thumbnail have to come first. And so obviously it makes sense, right? Your video packaging is the main thing people will click on. No one's going to care about what you want to say if you're not going to make the video packaging as interesting as possible. But even with that in mind, I really didn't take time to brainstorm what really was a really good idea to start building a whole narrative and a whole script around. So to kind of put this in a picture, the past 3 videos I made, I'm going to actually explore how each of them failed to do this lesson and how I think my latest video actually accomplishes it. So for my first ever video about why America felt hopeless, that video I was more so just really wanting to get back into the swing of things on YouTube. And so when I made this video, I cared more about just saying how I felt, finding some historical reason to justify it, and that was it. And as a result, it wasn't an interesting video, but more importantly, it wasn't a video that people were going to be like, oh, I have to click on this is interesting. The second video I made about why everything feels so pointless, it was the same kind of premise. The title and the thumbnail I actually kind of had planned before, because I did want to center the narrative of the video around 4 creators that I watched recently. I wanted to use them on the face of the thumbnail and build a narrative from there, but those points weren't really fleshed out. I kind of used them for the sake of using them because I think it'd be good for the thumbnail, but the video itself really suffered because it took too long to get to the point. And while I did, which is funny because the video is why everything feels so pointless, but I did feel like the point of the video itself wandered on for far too long than intended. I didn't think about what would be an interesting idea first and then fleshing it out. I had an idea, I came up with a title and thumbnail that I think fit that idea, and then I fleshed it out. My most recent video about why politics is designed to be exhausting, I did have a more fleshed out idea of what this video is going to be, but at that point in time, I didn't even think about a title and thumbnail. I kind of just waited afterwards until I had everything figured out. And I'm actually going to experiment with a different thumbnail design right now where it's going to be more authentic. Something that you can point out and be like, oh, I haven't seen that before. But with this most recent video, Gen Z was set up to fail, but so were the boomers. And I think that's a really strong video idea that I came up with because I wanted the video idea to be interesting off the get-go. So I wanted to make it a claim that I felt like, ooh, that's interesting. What is there more to add or to say to that subject? Because other videos, politics is designed to be exhausting. That's just a statement. Same thing as why everything feels so pointless. I think you can kind of intuit these kind of answers themselves. But when I make a claim such as Gen Z was set up to fail, but so were the boomers, there's something to latch onto. So I felt really excited by the idea. Your content creation process, at least for me, was so much easier when I had something to really latch onto, like, this is interesting. I know this is going to be worth my time, and also I can challenge myself to explore that idea through this framework that I set up for what this video is going to be about. Lesson 2 was having a very good and strong and robust script. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people keep mentioning a good script, but people don't really talk about how hard it is to write a good script. And before the turn of AI, I felt like I was writing whatever came to my mind and polishing them and thinking about what I learned in English class. But at the end of the day, I still meandered a lot, and I feel like you can kind of tell with a lot of video essays from like a few years ago. And the video essays you see nowadays are really polished, almost too polished to the point where you can tell when someone has those ChatGPT-isms. But having Claude especially was so much better than using ChatGPT. For politics is designed to be exhausting, that video, I used ChatGPT to kind of formulate the outline and what it was going to look like. But when I used Claude for my most recent video about Gen Z and boomers, I was like, oh my god, it's actually writing in my style. It's providing me with a substantial outline. And because I trained it to challenge me on whether or not this was good, I constantly asked, are you glazing me? Or are you actually giving me some substantial base thing that I can latch onto that would actually be interesting for the viewer? I kept saying, think about it from the perspective of a viewer. Is this actually engaging? Does it add value? Does it respect the viewer's time? And that was like the biggest feedback I felt like I wanted to implement, which was, how do I make the script as engaging as possible versus just saying the things I wanted to say? And that really helped with structuring my thoughts. Because in video 1 and video 2, like I said, I just wanted to say what I wanted to say. There's no narrative cohesion between things. For video 3, with politics designed to be exhausting, there was a narrative through line. I had 4 rules of the political game and 3 forces and things that a viewer could easily digest list, which not only makes it easier for me to start writing out what I want to add, what I feel like is missing, but for the viewer to actually follow along and understand what these more complex topics are trying to say. And so having frameworks and having a script to actually guide your thoughts and having a way to tie it all back together neatly, all things I really could not have fleshed out or thought as well about if I didn't use AI itself. For politics, I really focused in on having a good through line, but I had a big problem of now having so much I wanted to say that I had to cut down so much. That video was 45 minutes and it was 8,000 words long. And I felt like if I really wanted to, I could restructure the whole video so that it'd be more like a 30-minute video, but at that time I already recorded it and I was too married to that concept and I didn't want to put in more work than I already needed to, and that's something I already intended to fix with this next project. So for this video, Gen Z and Boomers, what I really fixed was that even though it's at 8,000 words, it originally was at 11,000. So this video was already teetering across almost an hour and 15 minutes. So I really was ruthless in the cutting because I knew the structure was sound. I had my mentor look over with me too to make sure that what I had was good, like I shouldn't restructure it, because I know the previous video I definitely could have, and I felt like I had such a strong, robust foundation for the video that I could cut out everything that I felt like, okay, the viewer already knows this. The viewer already can imply that this is happening. A lot of just respecting the viewer's intelligence, which if my audience for that channel is to be more politically inclined, I don't need to repeat concepts like how does gerrymandering work. I can focus really more deeply on the effects of gerrymandering because it's already implied you already know what it is. Those are all things that really excited me because I feel like I did so much more of in-depth knowledge gathering and in-depth knowledge conveying rather than just explaining the surface level stuff, so I can kind of dig a little bit deeper into the knowledge. Lesson 3 was copying other creators, and again, there's a lot of advice out there about yoinking and twisting, grabbing one thing you really like about a creator and then implementing it into your own work. And even though that is a really good idea and premise, but what I learned is that I was pulling the advice but in the wrong way. I was interpreting it wrong. For example, in About How America Found Hope, I found that I was trying to copy John Oliver. So he was a late night talk show host and he was talking about a lot about political stuff, and so there's this very specific framing where he was on the right side and then on the left side he had a frame of a photo, whatever he's talking about, and I wanted to implement that because I thought that was a very engaging video. I really liked it and I think I can follow up on that format, but I took the wrong lessons from it because even though I tried those things, I also was focusing too much on the framing of the video. I wasn't focusing on the substance because again, that video had no script. It was a very rough outline and I was focused too much on am I close enough on the right side so there's enough room on the left. I was focusing on such wrong things that would yield me such a low return on investment for my time instead of the stuff that actually mattered, like is the idea good and is the script good that people who click on the video will actually be rewarded. Those are the things that fundamentally matter, but when you're in the thick and weeds of creating content, you overwhelm yourself with so much of that information, you forget to fall back on the fundamentals, and the execution itself was still very lazy. Like I feel like I was hampering myself to the format of, oh, I now have to have a nice rounded cut picture here on the left side, whether or not it actually mattered to the image. Like I felt like it was an unnecessary challenge that didn't creatively grow me. And I think this framework helped me understand it more. I was copying John Oliver's solution without first figuring out what the problem was with me first. Now, right now I'm in my closet recording my room, and I feel like there's a lot of things I want to fix, but at least I'm building it off of the foundations of where I'm at and not where John Oliver's at, where he has a bunch of rehearsals for his video, so he sounds perfect. He has a live audience, so he has an incentive to not mess it up the first time. He has writers that literally help write his whole scripts and a visual artist that helps make sure that they gather all the images. The only thing he has to do is rehearse his script, but for me, if I'm taking on all these challenges, either I have to be ready to live up to that production level, or I should try to change my approach based on the resources that I have here, which is to say, a tripod with a phone camera, a lighting setup, a MacBook to read some lines off of, and that's it. But besides that though, I really understood the value of borrowing what actually is important, thinking about why exactly am I taking information away from this person, not just taking it for the sake of taking it. And so I really understood now the foundational idea that you have to borrow what actually works, or otherwise build it up from the ground and from yourself to see what actually works for you. Now, even though I talked about it the whole video, this Gen Z video I feel like finally put everything together. I feel like I came up with the idea and title and thumbnail first, and I actually fleshed out a really interesting concept, and I executed it well with a proper script. And I feel like the parts that I borrowed from other people was more so just small quality of life things. I upped my mic quality because I didn't want it to sound like it was echoey anymore or being outside in the background, and also color grading it so that it's more interesting. And these small little 1% upgrades, even though they don't matter too much and they they aren't the things you should be focusing on. Once you have the fundamentals down, I feel like you actually can focus on the stuff that really levels your video up once you have the core premise. And there's still a lot of things I have to work on my current video as well. Like, this filming setup is still too scuffed. A YouTuber with hundreds of thousands of subscribers and viewers definitely doesn't have this setup where they're filming in their closet, talking about complex topics about politics and hope and stuff like that. I still definitely want to level up my editing. So even though I have my editor to work on the stuff that I feel like I just don't have time doing or don't want to do, I really want to focus on having more B-roll, having more higher quality graphics and whatnot. If I have those things leveled up, those would definitely make me feel more well produced, and I feel like it'll just earn the credibility that I'm trying to establish. But at the end of the day, nothing wrong with having a closet behind me and feeling homegrown with all the stuff I'm trying to work on with YouTube. So, it's crazy to think that you think you know these things, and you think even though you write these notes down and you implement them in your video, that you don't really truly internalize them until you go out there and do it yourself. YouTube isn't a place for you to learn and implement. It's a place for you to earn the knowledge and earn your experience so that you can make something of it. And I think that's like the most profound experience I've had, and it's truly so fulfilling that it actually made me enjoy the creative process rather than feel like I'm beholden to views. Because when I focus on the best video possible, the views will come. Because if you make it for the sake of enjoying it, but also knowing that this is the best product, and the best product measured by its engagement, its retention, its interesting idea, then success will eventually come. And I'm really banking on it with this next video because I do think it's really going to be popping off. And even if it doesn't soon, I felt proud of it, and that's what matters. So, dang.